Hello! Welcome back to another episode of Melchizedek Chronicles. I'm your host, Dr. Kenny Williamson. Now today, we're going to be talking about several different things probably, but the main thing I wanted to talk about was the planet Venus. In case you've never heard about that, the planet Venus comes up a lot whenever you talk about, looking up into the night sky and, somebody will say, oh, I saw a UFO. Well, you didn't see a UFO. You saw the planet Venus. So Venus is in all the sci-fi movies, by the way. And so I wanted to play you a little piece off of YouTube, which is a very, very small snippet, just a couple of seconds of an X-File, the old X-File show, the X-Files. And it had, who was it? Jesse Ventura played a Men in Black. And basically somebody'd seen some UFOs, that's what the whole show was about, was UFOs. Let me get it pulled up here. So in this particular clip here, which I think is funny, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show this to you. You can listen, of course, if you don't have the audio or the video. But this is an example of what they talk about in sci-fi movies in Venus. Okay. Let's get this thing pulled up. Let me share the screen. There it is. Here we go.
Even the former leader of your United States of America, James Earl Carter Jr., thought he saw a UFO once. But it's been proven he only saw the planet Venus. I'm a Republican. Venus was at its peak brilliance last night. You probably thought you saw something up in the sky other than Venus. But I assure you, it was Venus. I know.
So there's your first little section. Now let me roll this thing forward to the next little clip here. Let's see, that was at 107. Let's stop at 107 here. Here we go. Let's listen to this second little part here. It's only a couple seconds long.
And I wouldn't flaunt your ignorance by telling anyone that you saw anything last night other than the planet Venus.
There you have it. That was just one that I came up with. That was a really good episode. I mean, if you like X-Files. So, Planet Venus. I've read this before. I've read it when I was, looking at some other stuff having to do with people looking up in the sky at night, and they're like, oh, all you saw was the planet Venus. Don't you know you saw Venus? Okay, well, I never was that good in propaganda. I'm at school. In my propaganda school I went to, I never listened that much. Now, I'm sure they talked all about the planets, the solar system, which is fake, of course. That is a fake Big Bang, you came from a monkey propaganda state-funded religion is what that is. So, but based on their information, right, that they teach, and which is mainstream, and in Hollywood, like you just heard, supposedly, Venus shines really bright sometimes at night. Like he said, it was in its peak, so you saw Venus. That's what you saw. You see a bright light in the sky, well, you saw Venus. Well, I'm going to pull up a very simple kid's drawing here. I'm going to show you another one here in a minute, if you can see this. Let me just share the screen. Here it is. If you can see that right there, I'll make it a little bigger if I can. Obviously, you have the sun, you have the planet Mercury, then you have Venus, then you have the Earth, then you've got Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, and somewhere Pluto is supposed to be up in there, but, they keep saying Pluto's not a planet anymore. One day it's a planet, next day it's not a planet. But, That's what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with devils. So, I mean, so anyway, supposedly, according to NASA, these planets go around the sun because the sun is sitting out here in the middle of space and we're all rotating around it. So you've got Mercury going around it, you've got Venus going around it, and then you have the Earth going around it. Okay? Now, I'm going to try to explain it to you in very simple terms. Do you see the problem with that? Do you see why there's a problem with you being able to see Venus at night? If this model was true, which is not, it's fake. Okay? It's fake as all get out. But let's pretend that it was real, because that's what they teach. They teach this model's real. So let's pretend that it's real for argument's sake. Okay? If it was real, how could you see Venus at night? It's between the Earth and the sun. It's not on the outside of the Earth in outer space, right? And I'm going to pull up, I've got another camera here. This is the first time I've done this. I actually have two cameras, and I have the other one aimed at a whiteboard, which I don't normally do. Now, if you can see this, this is so you can help visualize this in your head, okay? I'm going to try to walk through it verbally as well in case you're listening to audio only. Okay, so hold on, let me a second. Let me get to this other screen. Okay, there it is. So I switched to the other camera. This is a whiteboard that I have sitting here, and you can see I have it in order. I have the sun, Mercury, Venus, and the Earth, and then the blackness of space. Now, there's supposedly some other planets out there, whatever. These are rotating in a circle supposedly around the sun. Now, what I have done here, let's see if I can scoot over here a little closer to it. If you can see this with my trusty pencil here, you can see how I have a line right there. One side is facing the blackness of space. The other side here is facing the sun. Now, the reason I drew it that way is because, as you can see the Earth up here, supposedly, as it rotates around the sun, part of it is in the dark, part of it is in the light, right? So you have the part here in the dark facing space. The part that is light is facing the sun. As this Earth supposedly rotates like this, and it's going around the sun, at some point, half of the planet is dark, half of the planet is light. Now, that line right there is called the Terminator line. So, you're sitting here and it goes midnight, it's night outside. You're supposedly on this side in the dark. And in the morning when you wake up, you're on this side. As you can see, Venus is in between the Earth and the sun. Now, you only see Venus, guess what, at night. So here you are on Earth, supposedly, and you're on this side where it's dark. So you're looking out into space. But Venus is between you and the sun. So on the light side, when you're down here on this side of the Terminator line, the sun is so bright you don't see Venus because it's too bright. But how can you see Venus if you're on the dark side of the planet looking out into outer space when Venus is between you and the sun? Do you see the problem there? And these supposedly heavenly bodies are rotating around the sun. And Venus is between you and the sun. And when it's dark, you're faced away from the sun, not towards Venus. So how exactly do you see a reflection of Venus at night? Can somebody explain that to me that knows something? Okay. Anybody? It's ridiculous. Now, what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to draw the moon, okay, the moon onto this map right here that I just drew for you. I'm going to draw it real quick. I'm going to pause it, draw it, go back to it, and show you why they claim you can see the moon at night, okay? So hold on one second. Well, it'll be like a minute for me, but it'll literally be 1 second, half a second for you. See, I told you. I drew some stuff on the board and I'm back, and it just took 1/2 a second for you, but it took a little bit for me, not much. So let me switch to the other screen. Here we go. Now, if you look again, now you can see this little dot right here. That is the moon. Okay, supposedly. It's supposedly orbiting around the Earth as well. Well, you can supposedly see this moon even though you're on the dark side here of the Earth, on the other side of the Terminator line. You can supposedly see this moon because, see, the sun is supposedly shining up onto the moon, and the sunlight is reflecting back down to you right here on the dark side. You see? Now, if it was real, which it's not, I can see that happening. But we still can't explain how we're seeing Venus over here in the night sky when Venus is down here between the Earth and the sun. So then what you'll do is you'll read on it, and it says, oh, well, you can only see Venus, you can see it better when it's catty-cornered right here. So Venus has to be in this area and you can see it. But that's on the other side of the Terminator line, on the daylight side of the planet. So they're claiming you can turn your head and look over into the daylight portion of the planet across the Terminator line, where it's over there towards the sun, and you can see it, but you don't see the sun over there. I mean, the sun is supposedly huge. And it's lighting all this stuff up. And Venus is over there kind of catty-cornered. You're over here in the dark side. It's over on the light side, but yet you can somehow still see it on the dark side, even though it's on the other side. So, anyway, I believe this is just another one of those, well, fake, ridiculous things that people don't pay attention to. And, you know, here we are. It proves to me that this fake globe deal is just that, fake. The stuff that they tell you doesn't make any sense. Nothing adds up. Nothing ever does. So, you know, you look at, like I said, you look at this little map here. You look at the little star chart. You look at all the little planets. How can you see Venus if you're facing out towards the black and it's on the other side of the planet in the light? You know, that's just one of the things. And that just came up because I saw a guy talking about that, saying how that basically proves that the globe theory thing is inaccurate, because you can't have it both. So, but they say, oh yeah, you're seeing Venus, and it's across the board. You know, Venus is supposedly, you know, it's in all the movies, all the Hollywood movies. That's all they talk about is Venus. So you talk to a normal person, they're like, oh yeah, you can see Venus at night. How? So anyway, I thought I'd bring that up. I thought that was a pretty funny little deal there, especially with the skit, you know, off YouTube there. I thought that was pretty funny. Yes. So anyway, I think that's going to be one of my go-to things now is, oh, you thought you saw something? Oh, all you saw was the planet Venus. I mean, you know. So the other thing I wanted to touch on is, which to me, so the Venus thing, to me, my opinion, is totally made up, and it's made up with all the other stuff, right? But they got to teach it. They teach it constantly. I mean, that's all they want to talk about. So again, when it has to do with radio waves, and I won't go in super depth on it because, you know, if you say too much, you get in trouble. But this has to do with ham radio. Okay? So one of the things I found that they teach in ham radio, and they test you on it even, one of the things they claim that they're doing is called moon bounce. Okay. Now I'm serious. It's called EME, Earth, Moon, Earth. And according to them, okay, according to the FCC, apparently, the Federal Communications Commission, you can aim an antenna up at the moon, and somebody else can aim their antenna up at the moon, and you can send a signal, and it goes all the way to the moon and all the way back down to them. And that's how you talk. You literally bounce your signals off of the moon bounce. Now, according to them, okay, if two people can see the moon, they can be up to, now get this, now this to me blows my mind, but this is what they claim. You can be up to 12,000 miles apart as long as each party can see the moon. You can do moon bounce. Now, I mean, that's what they teach. They turn around and tell you that the moon is a terrible reflector. It's actually a terrible reflector. It's got a huge signal loss. So why you would want to point anything at the moon to get signal, I don't know. When they tell you to bounce it off the moon, but then they tell you it's got a horrible signal loss. And of course, they're claiming that the moon is like 250-some thousand odd miles away. Think about that for a second. 250,000 miles away. And you're going to sit at your house with a little handheld radio with an antenna pointed at the moon, and it's going to go all the way to the moon, 250,000 miles away. And then it's going to hit the moon, and it's going to bounce back down to your buddy who's also aimed up at the moon. So we're talking 500,000 miles round trip just for a transmit. And then, that's what they received. And then they transmit back 500,000 miles one way. The moon's a terrible reflector, but we're going to use it anyway. Now, all the other stuff they talk about is reflecting communications off the ionosphere, which is supposedly, way down here, and the moon's way up here. So, but hey, that's what we have. We have moon bounce. And, I mean, again, they're teaching that the moon is a dusty rock out in outer space. Somehow, a rock, according to them, reflects this stuff back. So, in normal situations, if you have a rock in front of you and you aim an antenna that direction, the rock gets in the way and you have a hard time getting around it. It doesn't just reflect it right back to you. It's not a mirror. It's a rock. But the moon, however, we can do stuff different with the moon. So, now, are they actually doing this? Are people actually pointing up at the moon and getting reception? Possibly. Probably. Are they actually sending a signal to the moon? No. I don't believe so. No. Here's what I think's happening. Okay? What we have is, a lot of people don't understand this. Number one, we live under a firmament. God created it. It's here. Sorry. There is no outer space. It's fake. Okay? The moon, the sun, other stuff is a reflection of types, and I don't know exactly how it works, in the firmament. So, for an example, if you have a dome and you take a flashlight, let's say, or a light, and you shine it right in the middle, that's where it's actually at, okay? But you can be over here looking up, and it reflects kind of at an angle, and you see it right here because it's reflected back. So it's actually in the center, but it looks like it's lower depending on your perspective. So there's something like that going on with the moon and the sun. It's not right there as far as a ball of light. I believe it's somehow in the firmament and it's reflecting through it. So we're seeing a reflected something of it. Okay. Now, when this sun or the moon, but let's just say the sun first, when it's over an area, it energizes that area up with some kind of electrical energy. Now, this is stuff that the government stuff don't want to talk about, but it's just a fact. There's static electricity, there's electricity, all kinds of electro stuff in the air. There's also lots of gases up in the dome or up next to the dome, somewhere around the dome. So here comes the sun, and it energizes or charges all these particles. And so it will literally illuminate these noble gases like neon, argon, and that's where you get your reds, your blues, your greens. You get all these different colors because those are the gases that are lit up. And you can put those gases in containers down here and put electricity on them, and they light up the same color. So that's obviously what it is. So I have read articles where people think that one of the reasons the government has shot these so-called rockets and missiles up and hit the firmament is to charge it up, because it can be charged up by the sun, but if you hit it with some electrical or a bomb or something, it can also charge it up. Well, when it's charged, it tends to reflect better. So they want to keep this firmament charged up, if you will, so their satellite communications and all that stuff will work better, because the firmament is all it's doing is reflecting off the firmament. There's no satellites in outer space. There's none of that. They are aiming a satellite dish towards the firmament, and you're over here somewhere else on the firmament, and if you aim at the same thing, then you get the signal. Okay, they've been doing that since White Alice in the 50s, before so-called space satellites even existed. So that's all you're doing. So wherever the sun is, it charges up the area, possibly makes it have better reflective properties. So I think that's exactly what's happening here with the moon. Now, according to the Bible, there are two great lights, the sun and the moon. The moon is the lesser of the two, but it is a light. So when you see the moon at night, it's its own light. It's not reflecting anything from the sun. That's all Big Bang bull. Okay? So the moon is its own light, and wherever it's at, right over that little area of the firmament, I believe that light is also charging that area up, which makes it more reflective or something to that matter. It has something to do with electricity, radio waves, all kinds of stuff. It has to do with that. So when the moon is right here, if you aim up in that direction, that area of the firmament where it's at becomes more reflective, so you're able to bounce a beam back down easier. Okay? So that's all that's happening. That's why as the moon moves, you have to change your point. You can't just keep, because it's moved, so the particles are moving with it. You see, the reflective surface is moving with it. It's not the moon you're reflecting off of. The moon is a light. The moon is in the firmament, according to the Bible. So you ain't getting to the moon to do anything. Okay? It's not a rock. It's not a planet. It's probably plasma, some type of a light. But the area under it, the firmament, it could be charging it up, causing it to be more reflective. So we aim up to an area under the moon The firmament reflects it back down. The firmament's way closer. It's nowhere near 250,000 miles away, nothing like that. It's just right there. Way closer than what you are led to believe that anything's going on, okay? So that's all it is. But because ham radio, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's airplane. It doesn't matter if it's ham. It doesn't matter, okay? Because ham is controlled by what? A 3-letter government entity, FCC. Who's controlling all the airplane stuff? Well, FAA. Everything is a 3-letter government entity. All 3-letter government entities are controlled by the same entity, Satan. All of them. So everything the government puts out, regardless of who it is, what it is, who it's for, all teach Big Bang. They all teach outer space. They all teach you came from a monkey in one form or another. Now, like when you start talking about the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, they don't really teach anything about evolution or anything per se, because, they're talking about airplanes. They're talking about flying around. But what they do say is, they'll talk about the curvature of the so-called Earth. They'll talk about outer space and, particles caused from the Big Bang or something, could interfere with something. So they make sure and promote it on any level that they can. And it's the same with the FCC. It's being promoted on every level. So even if you don't believe it, you've got to answer the test questions to what they say. Because, hey, if you don't, well, then you flunk the test. You don't get to operate a radio. So, it's just one more deal of government control, of course. But just as a obvious thing that I've noticed when studying for these different exams is, well, it's like anything else. It's like, you go to high school, all they want to tell you about is the Big Bang, monkey, and evolution. You get out of there and you attend college, well, let's get back and then let's, anything science related, back to the Big Bang, back to the monkeys again. And that was then. I can only imagine what they're teaching now. And so you get out of that, you're 40, 50 years old, and you want to become a ham or you want to do something like that, get a license in something else. Well, let's get you back to the basics again. Well, we got to start talking about Earth, in outer space. We've got to talk about space, planets, throw out all the fake numbers again. I'm surprised in these tests, but like I said, I'm surprised they don't just come out and say you're a monkey. But they don't. But they do allude to, billions of years and that kind of stuff. And it's like, okay. But, it's one of those things. Obviously, these radios work, and you can use the radios. And you can aim up, and you can get a signal. But you've been able to do that since the 50s, since the government started doing it. You've probably been able to do it since before then. But, you're aiming off the firmament is what you're doing. You're not doing anything special per se. You're doing exactly what the Bible basically, as many words, tells you can do. The Bible refers to the firmament as a looking glass, a hard, molten looking glass. Well, I think you're probably better off bouncing a signal off a hard, molten looking glass than you are a rock, right? So it only stands to reason that's how we're doing it. But that's not how you're taught. And so what you have to do is you have to go along with everything that you're taught to get your tests, to get your certifications, to get your this, to get your that. It's just a matter of do you actually believe it? I know a lot of people that do. They believe it hook, line, and sinker. Doesn't matter what they say. I mean, they could tell you that we're bouncing radio beams off of monkeys in outer space, and they'd believe it. If NASA says it and throws up a grainy picture of a monkey in space, they would believe it. They'd say, okay. They would believe it, and they'd go with it. They'd swear to it. I mean, and you tell them anything else, they're mad. They're mad at you for it. And it's just like my picture here. Let me get my picture of my planets back up here. Get that over here where you can see it. There they are. Here you got your Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. I think that if you look at this little deal here, you got a lot of people. Of course, this is a fake NASA propaganda deal here for kids. But I think their head's probably stuck right up here, don't you? Right after Saturn, in between Saturn and Neptune, you've got Uranus. I think that's where their heads are probably stuck, right up there in that region. Wouldn't you say? I mean, that's what I would say. Anyway, having said that, that's all I wanted to talk about today. I thought that was interesting, and I came across this Venus thing several times, so I thought, well, why not? The other thing I wanted to mention was, and I'm fixing to do one on a lake, by the way. I've been doing some reading on one of the lakes over there in Florida that dried up again in a sinkhole. It's pretty interesting. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a different episode. But I have signed up again this year to go to TrutherCon. They're having another TrutherCon in Dallas, Texas. I'm going to be a vendor this year, in which I'm going to bring a bunch of these books, and I'm going to have a display of books and possibly T-shirts for sale. Having a lot of people down there again, like they did. They're claiming that they're on their site. They're claiming that there's 900 plus attendees. They've got a whole bunch of people talking that are popular, all over YouTube and the internet. Influencers, I guess is what you'd call them. Flat Earth Dave's going to be there. All those guys. So, so I'm going to go again this year. I've already bought the ticket, and I've did a hotel room in advance. It's in November. If anybody's interested in going, you can let me know. I'll be down there. It's on truthercon.com, and I'm going to try to post a link, or I'm going to get a link on my website so you can see it and go to it if you want. But anyway, if you're going, let me know. If you watch my show and are going, let me know. Just give me an email, truthseekers2012@gmail.com or whatever. I'd be interested to talk to you. I'd love to meet you. If you want to, if you're going down there and I'm going to be there, which I am, I'd love to meet you, give you something, give you a book, anything, whatever. So just let me know. Hopefully it'll be, the first one was last year. It was decent. I just went as a listener. And so this year, I think I'm going to go, like I said, as a vendor, and try to get some truth out there. I'm going to sell some flat Earth books, and I'm going to bring some other books that I wrote on demons and some ghosts and some stuff like that. I think it'll be interesting. We'll see. So again, if you're going, let me know. truthseekers2012@gmail.com. I'd love to talk to you about it. Let's see. Is there anything else? No, I think that's it at the moment. So, having said all that, thanks again for listening. Any questions or comments? You know how to get in touch with me. Check out the websites. It's Flatbro, truthseekersministry.org, kennywilliamson.com. If you like the show, like it, share it, subscribe, whatever. I guess that's it for now. So thanks again for listening, and until we meet again, God bless you.